Repeat that transmission, verbatim. Marshal Dren Korvix didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. The command center dropped to silence the moment he spoke. The junior comms officer replayed the galactic relay stream through the central HUD array, audio adjusted to the standard diplomatic frequency. By decree of the Crave Dominion and under Article 17 of Sovereign Dispute Protocols, Earth must present a combatant within 9 cycles. Failure to comply will result in forfeiture of the Nyrex mining cluster. This challenge is binding and will be resolved through personal duel. Final outcome absolute. Dren blinked once. The words weren't unfamiliar. What mattered was who had sent them. Commander Lesh. Status on system uplinks, Dren asked. Fully operational, no interference. That signal's clean. Lesh replied, eyes locked on his interface. They meant it. Dren didn't sigh. Didn't lean back in his chair. He simply stood, walked to the sealed cabinet on the far end of the room, and placed his palm against the biometric reader. A heavy latch disengaged with a low mechanical snap. The file cube inside was matte black, unmarked except for a small triangular icon etched near one edge. Core Command won't like this, Lesh muttered. They were hoping diplomacy would hold. Dren turned, holding the cube in one hand. They won't like what happens next either, he replied. Send it upstairs. Category, red. Across the orbital command tier, systems flickered into synchronized protocol. Earth had been challenged, and protocol demanded a response. 10 minutes later, Sector Command gathered in the vaulted briefing gallery, 30 men, all silent. The Cravath's dual challenge had been transmitted across multiple trade systems. 6 sectors had already responded. Most were laughing. A humanoid delegate from Arkhelm broadcast live reactions calling Earth's military ceremonial. A recorded feed from the Cravath's combat preparation had already begun circulating. Lord Militant Skarn Vortul, standing beside his modified exofrom, flanked by Dominion engineers, injecting his neural spine stabilizers. A screen replayed Skarn's training footage, heavy kinetic weapons swinging into reinforced blocks, entire armor slabs sheared in half. He's their strongest living combatant, one officer said. Stronger than that, Dren corrected. He's a living deterrent. The table went still. We send a man into that arena, he dies, another added. So we decline. We decline, Dren repeated flatly. And they claim Nyrex without resistance. They'll brand Earth as incapable. Weak. The other systems follow suit. Access lost. Lesh asked the question no one else dared. Then who do we send? Dren placed the file cube on the table. Its surface lit up instantly, cycling through restricted service codes. A single name appeared. One entry. No rank, no service badge, no medical records. Varn Decken. The room didn't react. Not yet. Is that legit? Lesh asked carefully. Closed DECSEP protocol, Dren answered. Operative flagged under the orbital contingency clause. Active since before half of you were commissioned. What does he bring? Experience? Implants? Ground command? None of the above. Lesh frowned. Then what? Dren looked at him, calm. She walks in unarmed, and walks out alive. Within Earth's inner orbital tier, deep inside the Strategic Core's personnel archives, a small chamber unlocked with Dren's override command. Inside, resting on a reinforced floor grid, was a cryogenic pod with no designation. Its occupant lay still, arms crossed, face unreadable under the frost film of long-term stasis. A drone retracted the shielding and sent an awakening pulse through the embedded core. Varn Decken opened his eyes. He didn't sit up, just blinked. Once. Above him, an automated prompt activated. Mission active. Combat designation, Kraveth Challenge, Arena Protocol, initiated. Varn's heart rate stayed unchanged. He stepped out barefoot. His breath was steady. Transport to the deployment platform was unmarked. No insignia, no ceremony. Just an automated drop pod moving through Earth's lower atmospheric lane. Inside, Varn sat opposite Marshal Dren, who hadn't spoken until now. Do you need equipment? No. Do you want to feed on your opponent? Any final requests? Varn looked up briefly. Is the arena Earth stabilized? Yes, fixed grav with standard tension mesh and seismic dampeners. He nodded. That'll work. The pod rattled once as it exited orbit. The front-facing viewport showed the growing shadow of the Nyrex belt, with the arena satellite looming in its center. Station lights blinked across its outer shell, external generators maintaining the gravity mesh for the duel. They'll mock you, Dren said. Varn's reply was dry, but not amused. EBI always do. The Kraveth Dominion Central Broadcast Station flared with energy. Anchored just beyond the arena structure, the viewing panels flickered on. Jorvac Trell, senior Dominion commentator, stood in his formal crest armor, projecting confidence. The humans arrive now, he declared to the crowd. No armored suits, no strike carriers, just one transport. And what looks like an unmodified male. The laughter from the Kraveth side was immediate. Skarn Voltul stood already within the arena enclosure, his frame reinforced with lateral shielding, his hammer gleaming with vibration regulators. He tilted his head at the human stepping onto the hardened stone. Varn didn't look up, didn't acknowledge the noise. He simply stepped forward and adjusted the joints in his shoulders. His knees bent slightly. His left foot pivoted forward, grounded. No armor, no enhancements. His knuckles cracked once as he flexed both hands. Skarn raised the vibro sledge overhead and laughed. This is your warrior, this frail piece of meat? In the command booth, Jorvac chuckled. What will Earth claim when their bones decorate the floor? Marshal Dren, still connected through a private uplink, whispered only 3 words to his aide. Begin the record. Above them all, Unit T9 Glaive activated its inner sensor grid, focused all beamline optics on the center tile of the arena. Barndecken took one quiet breath, exhaled once, and set his right heel. No stance, no war cry. Just readiness should not exist in the registry, yet here he is. Marshal Dren Korvix didn't blink as the room's ambient lighting dimmed, isolating the heads-up display now projecting from the central archive disk. The display showed no service tags, no deployment citations, only a black glass insignia stamped with 3 horizontal bars. Earth's pre-unification covert tier. Designation. Commander Lesh stood behind him, arms folded, unsettled. I ran his name through every operative index. Nothing surfaced. He's a ghost. He's not a ghost, Dren replied, tapping the interface. He's an old contingency. One that wasn't meant to wake up unless things turned surgical. Lines of redacted text scrolled across the feed. Some fields flickered as internal firewalls tried to block access but failed under Dren's override chain. Then came the psych file. Read it out, Dren ordered. Lesh hesitated. Cognitive baseline, classified. Pain tolerance, restructured during early Deathworld simulations. Behavioral summary, quote, obedience conditioned through consequence isolation. Instinct, calibrated under environmental kill zones. Displays no interest in self-preservation when threat parameters are active. End quote. The room was dead quiet. Dren continued scrolling. Record shows 4 field deployments outside Terran jurisdiction, locations marked only by code. Epsilon 9, Goran Fault Line, Siege Zone, Theta, and… Wait, Lesh cut in. That last one was sealed. Theta doesn't exist anymore. Because Vern Decken was sent there, Dren said. And afterward, it didn't qualify as a war zone. Or a planet. A still frame appeared, grainy drone footage from a fractured landscape. Varn moved through wind-blasted rock, no armor, dragging an unconscious hostile twice his size by the ankle. No weapon, no partner, no surveillance gear. Just one man, walking across shattered ground with the ease of someone on a routine patrol. Lesh narrowed his eyes. What even is that movement style? I've seen close combat techniques. That's something else. He doesn't follow form. He deletes it. Dren leaned forward. That's Death World protocol. The ones trained before we started moral checks. The ones buried so deep that even the AI custody layers don't retain behavioral forecasts. Another file unlocked, this time audio only. The timestamp marked it 34 years prior. A clipped voice, neutral but strained. Operative Decan has refused psychological reconditioning. All attempts to reintegrate him into structured unit hierarchies have failed. Recommending indefinite cryogenic hold under contingency clause. Subjects should not be released unless planetary integrity is at risk. Lesh sat back. So we shelved him. Just boxed him in case something like this ever happened. He's not our secret weapon, Dren corrected. He's what we bring when everything else would fail anyway. Another document opened, showing disciplinary logs. Decan had been removed from every squad he was placed into, insubordination. Not out of defiance, but misalignment. Commanders couldn't control him. Teams couldn't read him. Simulations failed to model his reactions. Twice, battlefield analysts marked his performance as unrecoverable, not because of failure, but because no one could explain how he survived missions without violating physics or tactical doctrine. He should have died 10 times over, Lesh muttered. He probably thought the same thing, Dran replied. Meanwhile, in the Krabeth Broadcast Center, Jorvac Trell sat before a wide-angle feed showing Varn standing alone in the arena corridor, unmoving. His commentary resumed, tones smug. The humans have selected a representative unworthy of contest. No combat plating, no energy dampeners. This is either arrogance or delusion, perhaps both. The panelists beside him nodded, each from a different allied species, none human. They projected consensus across the galactic feed. Earth was unprepared. They were sending a message of weakness by even entertaining the challenge without armor or enhancement. On Trell's console, auxiliary feeds from the Dominion homeworld displayed Skarn Vortul completing final spinal integration checks. Nanostructure rods locked into his musculature with audible clicks. Combat engineers monitored heat thresholds and recalibrated grip sensors on the vibro sledge. Dominion standards have never been higher, Trell declared. Skarn's power conversion output exceeds any known baseline. He has withstood ranged artillery from Kaari, disruptors without injury. This duel is ceremonial. No outcome except dominance remains. Back aboard the Earthside command station, Drin ignored the commentary. He cycled to a different feed. One showing medical overlays from Decan's pre-stasis scan. Bone density exceeded reinforced class exoskeletal frame tolerance. Muscle regeneration had adapted into a state of near-perpetual readiness. Heart rate flatlined under stress test. His biology didn't spike under pressure. It adapted to it. Lesh stepped forward. So what was the incident that got him buried? Dren opened the sealed transcript, one with manual clearance entry. He didn't speak until he'd read it twice. Classified as a command override breach. During a multi-faction engagement, Decan terminated not only the enemy war council but his own field captain and liaison. Filed it as threat removal. Tribunal couldn't prove him wrong, but they couldn't keep him active either. So they locked him in ice and hoped no one ever dug that deep again. Lesh looked away. And now, we're hoping he still follows orders? Drin didn't answer immediately. He watched the live feed where Varn was now stepping into the arena under silent sky. The lights above him brightened in a slow gradient. The arena's ground tiles pulsed gently with kinetic sensors calibrating weight displacement. Varn didn't shift his posture, he just looked up once, toward the drone relay above. For a split second, he made eye contact with the observation unit. Dren saw it. Lesh saw it. So did every civilian broadcast receiver in 6 aligned sectors. And none of them had words for it. Dren finally spoke. He doesn't need orders, he just needs direction. Lesh turned toward the arena display. Then I hope Cravaith picked the right funeral song. Dren leaned forward slightly, gaze fixed. No. They picked the wrong man to challenge. Scan that again. His knee moved before the gravity shift registered. Technician Vark Holland leaned toward the control rail, recalibrating the anchor fields as T9 Glaive replayed the footage in quarter sped. The feed wasn't cinematic. No music, no overlays. Just Varn Decken moving through null-grav resistance exercises inside the isolation core. No suit, no vocal cues. Just bare motion, flowing with biomechanical accuracy that ignored artificial physics. Glaive's auxiliary camera rotated along the ceiling arc, locking into orbital pitch. Data flashed across the heads-up display. Joint articulation, green. Muscle filament density, stable. Core rotation integrity, exceeds combat standard. Holland tapped in a field loop rewind, his back tensions correcting before the anchor pulls fire. Korvix didn't look up. His body is anticipating the resistance before it forms. That's not reaction time, Holland muttered. It's memory, Korvix replied. Pain doesn't just teach him, it configures him. Inside the arena subdeck, Varn twisted through a slow vertical roll, his heels tucked in, body folding mid-air as the gravity well surged without warning. His right leg extended, grounded flat against the curved training pad, the torque in his hip locked, the rest of his body followed instantly. He landed in silence. Not even a thud. No combat suit would allow that degree of connective response. No reinforced spine would permit that curvature. No Dominion warrior would move like water wrapped in tension lines. Varn did. He stepped forward again, letting the false weight shift pull against his shoulders. The floor bent briefly under the field surge. He didn't resist. He absorbed. Holland triggered the slow mobile capture again. There. That shoulder displacement. He's adjusting the ligaments while the load transfers down the scapula. There's no hesitation, no second stage correction. Korvix gave a tight nod. He isn't analyzing the field. He's absorbing it, rebuilding how to break it down. Glaive's optics locked onto the fractured training mold. A hardened synthetic plate shaped like a humanoid torso, now broken at the clavicle ridge and split diagonally through the rib line. The crack hadn't formed from direct impact. It had splintered from joint pressure, a controlled compression timed to shatter the weakest vector under stress. The sensors had picked up 3 microseconds of contact. Korvix pointed to the pattern. He's using decay paths. He's treating bone like power conduits, disrupting them along precepts lines. Holland stepped away. I've seen biomech killers. They rely on force. This is instruction. It's anatomical language. Inside the chamber, Varn continued without pause. No breathing pattern shifted. No sign of fatigue showed. His bare feet adjusted to each pulse shift, adapting to the artificial floor's irregular spin rate. One wall launched a gravitic disc at his chest. His arms moved once, angled, block, redirect, palm slide. The disc rebounded toward the wall with increased velocity and shattered on impact. He didn't look back at it. Is he aware we're recording this? Holland asked. He doesn't care. Another gravity burst fired from beneath. Varn's legs tucked and twisted mid-roll. He dropped into a grounded squat, one palm against the stabilizer ring, and exploded upward with a vertical strike. The overhead support cracked at the joint. Holland flinched. That beam's rated to tank drop pressure. Korvix pressed the intercom. Cut his gravity. Full null. The entire chamber dimmed. The field dropped. Varn rose slowly through air, one knee bent, arms outward. His core held firm, back straight. No drift, no imbalance. He floated. Not idle, but deliberate, measuring his shape against emptiness. On the outer rail, Holland whispered, "He doesn't train to fight. He trains to end motion." Korvix didn't reply. His gaze tracked Varn's spine, his shoulder arcs, the way his fingers curled mid-slight as if timing each nerve impulse to the fall-off of simulated gravity. Glaive's report uploaded another entry. Subject demonstrates integrated kinetic understanding beyond modeled humanoid parameters. Movement profile matches no known Terran martial archetypes. Recommend Class X biomechanical flagging for all further simulations. Korvix locked the report under restricted access. No one needed to see what Earth had built outside regulation. Back in the Dominion's arena prep wing, Skarn Vortal reviewed a separate display showing Varn's training footage. "Where are his implants?" he growled. His combat analyst replied. "None detected. No stabilizers. No servo-launch sisters. Then he's hiding them. Subdermal mesh, maybe. No unmodified frame moves like that, under inverse load." The analyst shook his head. "Dominion Tech has scanned him 3 times. Clean. He's unarmored." Skarn's fingers clenched the edge of his weapon case. "Then, he's either lying or suicidal." A Cravath tactician entered with a datapad. No registered victories, no war citations, no command chain, just a file tag with a cold directive seal. Skarn turned toward the observation wall, watching the human's body fall through a 0G loop without losing alignment. No flail, no recover jerk. This is either the biggest bluff I've seen, or the worst miscalculation we've made. The tactician paused. "You still want the vibrosledge?" Skarn grinned. "No, I want to see what breaks when I hit him with the wall." Inside the chamber, the training phase ended. The lights pulsed once. The air recalibrated. Varn floated toward the gravity anchor pad and touched down, heels first. As the artificial weight returned, he didn't stretch. He didn't check his stance. He simply opened his right hand, and the fractured print mold, half-mashed and still vibrating from his last strike, slid toward his foot. He looked at it, and not with interest, not with satisfaction, only familiarity. Korvix spoke to Holland without looking away. "Tell the Dominion their arena better be reinforced." Holland hesitated. "Why?" "Because he isn't trained to win," Korvac said. "He's trained to demonstrate what happens when you forget Earth's history." Glave's recording lens rotated silently, tagging the session's end with a timestamp. Decken walked toward the chamber exit, no words spoken, no attention given to the shattered walls behind him. "Activate the spine lock. If it fractures mid-swing, I'll execute the engineer myself." Skarn Vortul's voice carried through the chamber as Dominion technicians swarmed around his reinforced frame. They weren't ordinary mechanics. They were combat biologists, nerve weavers, and kinetic load specialists. No one in the Cravath military complex touched the Lord Militant's augmentation grid without 5 years in battlefield-grade physiology. Behind him, the Dominion war crest loomed across the chamber wall, a clawed hand gripping 3 stars, representing Dominion over tri-scepter conflict. Today, the symbol wasn't ceremonial. It was being live-streamed to 12 planetary networks, all tuned to witness Skarn's final tuning cycle before combat. The chief augmentation officer, Drav Lorvek, adjusted the cranial lock, triggering a spinal interface sequence. Stabilizer coils balanced, pressure filtration routed through the secondary vertebrae. Neural lag point. Within. Tolerances. Good. Skarn muttered. Push past tolerances. If the human makes me sweat, I'll call it a failure. Lorvek double-checked the heads-up telemetry on his display. Strain limit's been increased by 14%. Any further and the dampeners will seize under torque backlash. Then I won't miss. On the opposite side of the chamber, Dominion reporters clustered outside the viewing glass, speaking into segmented comm units. Their feeds were patched into media rotations across 3 sectors. Skarn's profile was already being analyzed. Bone mass, reflex index, neural delay compression, tissue density. A junior host in red-gold armor grinned at the camera drone. Cravath sends a true warrior. 6 centuries undefeated in sovereign duels. Against a Terran peasant. Their fighter has no exofarm, no kinetic implants. The Dominion is not fighting a soldier, it's swatting a gnat. The crowd around the Grand Coliseum erupted in cheers as the statement reached them. Flags bearing the crest of Skarn's former campaigns waved across the lower tiers. Dominion citizens wore compression masks shaped like Skarn's war helmet, an angular visor designed to intimidate more than protect. Public betting feeds scrolled across every available wall display. Skarn victory, 97.3%. Terran death under 1 minute 60, 1.2%. Human strike attempt before collapse, 4.8%. Inside the training chamber, The final armor node sealed into Skarn's biceps. Carbon-forged anchors clicked into place over his triceps, followed by the collar link locking onto his clavicle edge. When he exhaled, the chamber hissed from pressure regulation. Lorvek stepped back. Your loadout exceeds last campaign by 17 units. Skarn rolled his neck, then pounded one fist into the padded wall beside him. It cracked from the impact. If I lose, write it down as the end of Dominion superiority. A military overseer entered with a datapad. Imperial Council has ratified public declaration. If Earth loses, the Nyrak sector's resource field transfers immediately. If Earth wins, terms default to arbitration. Skarn didn't react. There will be no arbitration. In the Dominion Media Tower, Jorvak Trell stood under broadcast lights, his arms crossed behind his back. His voice rang clear, full of confidence. The Kravith Dominion has upheld honor through direct combat for generations. We do not scheme. We do not whisper. We confirm. His broadcast footage shifted, cutting to archival clips. Skarn deflecting a gravity-forged axe, breaking reinforced armor at the shoulder with a rising elbow, crushing a Meraxi enforcer's chest with a hammer blow. These are not staged victories, these are facts. You cannot fabricate dominance when it's embedded in your culture. Across the screen, Earth's choice flashed briefly. Varn Decken, still in neutral stance during his calibration training. The feed showed no weapon, no armor, no introduction, just a still frame. Jorvak turned to the camera. This is who Earth sends? This is how they answer a warrior's challenge? A silent man, in bare feet? The transmission cut back to the betting ticker. Numbers didn't move. Dominion officers gathered in private view rooms along the upper gallery, watching Skarn's posture updates, tracking his muscle temperature through high-grade telemetry. Everything indicated peak performance. Counselor Ren Laskor leaned back from the display. If Skarn ends it in 5 seconds, he said, let the footage loop for another 20. Earth's shame should be documented at every angle. Back inside the arena core, Skarn completed his final movement drills. Each strike left divots in the reinforced stone plating. Each step generated minor tremors along the arena floor, forcing recalibration of the tension dampeners. One Dominion official spoke quietly to another. You see his right leg? The tendon replacement from the Sharnbreak campaign? He walked back on a shredded knee to kill the last wire hold. Now it moves better than a fusion piston. They all nodded. Skarn lifted his vibro sledge from the mounted rack. The handle alone weighed more than a field trooper. Its edge vibrated with kinetic force, but emitted no light. He swung once through the air. Quiet, efficient. When do we pull the gate, he asked. 7 cycles from now, Lorvek replied. The Terran will step in first. Standard protocol. Skarn rested the hammer on his shoulder. He'll step in. He just won't step out. At the outskirts of the Kravith Broadcast Control, a civilian analyst reviewed public messages from Dominion youth across outer colonies. One comment climbed the ranks quickly. Let Earthwatch, let them learn. Skarn Vortul doesn't fight battles, he ends traditions. Another flashed seconds later. Humans have stories, Dominion has facts, our bones remember. The commentary channel auto-supported viral tags. As the arena lights began warming for final protocol, Skarn stepped into the shadow of the dueling gate. No adrenaline spike, no heart rate climb, just readiness. He tapped the side of his neck, checking spinal feedback. The reinforcement grid responded. Grip strength stabilized at full compression. Shoulder rotation aligned. Lorvek gave a nod. Ya too. Skarn grinned. Then let's shut the myth down. 2 minutes to gate ignition. Bring all feeds online, no buffering, no overrides. Marshal Dren Korvix delivered the order without raising his voice. Around him, Earth's command staff activated secured relay lines. Heads-up displays across every console lit with the same signal. T9 glaive engaged, stream encrypted. Inside the arena station's control tier, pressure locks disengaged along both ends of the combat trench. Opponent chambers synchronized. Skarn Vortul stood behind a reinforced blast door, arms folded across his augmented chest. Varn Decken stood across from him, behind an identical structure, alone in a plain set of Terran meshware. No armor, no weapon selected, no stance assumed. A Dominion herald stood at the top observation deck, reading from a sealed data slate. This duel is sanctioned under Concord Combat Code, Section 12, Sublaws Direct Engagement. The challenge has been recognized. All decisions are final. No resubmissions. No appeals. Crowds filled the perimeter balconies. Some stood in quiet anticipation. Others roared Skarn's name. Betting results rotated across Dominion banners, flashing under regional languages. Odds hadn't shifted. Leaves recording lens adjusted aperture, locking its focal arc on Varn's chest. Internal diagnostics tracked subtle muscular contractions. No emotion indicators, no nerve spikes. Skarn turned his head toward his attending technician. Sledge, tuned. The technician handed it off without hesitation. Core stabilized, edge-lined, torque coil loaded. Skarn swung the weapon once, planting it beside him like a war standard. Arena Command initiated gate separation protocols. Captain, 90 seconds. Ceremonial sirens echoed through the structure. Each tone marked a regulatory clearance. Medical observers took positions behind reinforced blast shields. Gravity anchors calibrated to match base planetary fields. No tilt, no skew. Inside Earth's uplink center, Lesh watched the feed through a filtered channel. He hasn't blinked, not once. Dren didn't look away. He won't until it ends. Glave's secondary sensor suite engaged audio indexing. Dominion chants surged as the crowd's excitement climbed. Dominion citizens in the front tiers chanted rhythmically. Above them, Jorvac Trell provided live analysis from his control pod. We now approach combat alignment. Lord Vortul is ready. Earth submission protocol will soon be displayed for public review. The human has not moved in 43 seconds. Statisticians are already preparing probability breakdowns for post-match review. Inside the chamber, Skarn tapped the side of his neck. His vision filters activated. His targeting overlay displayed Varn's basic biometric outline. No tech signature, no power readouts, no armor indicators. It's like he doesn't exist, he muttered. Gate control displayed the next alert. Countdown, 60 seconds. The dual platform illuminated. 32 separate grid lines flickered alive across the ground. Impact sensors confirmed tension stability. The heads-up display surrounding the arena updated in real time, showing full environmental control. Zero wind shear, neutral thermal exposure, light moderate resonance echo from below the deck, expected from gravity mines embedded under the tilework. At the center of the floor, a weapon rack stood open. 10 weapons lined its frame, each permitted under the dual accord. No ranged tools. All melee, from Dominion curved hooks to twin-blade rotational axes. Varn approached the rack first. He didn't pause. He didn't examine anything. He walked past the rack without adjusting pace, continuing until he stood on his designated circle, 1 foot forward, left shoulder angled. Unarmed, Jorvac Trell barked into his feed. He ignores the options. This is not bravery. This is planetary shame. Skarn chuckled, rolling one shoulder. He doesn't understand ceremony. I'll educate him. Countdown 30 seconds. Final system checks completed. Arena locks disengaged. Dual gate thresholds powered down. Gravity mesh pulsed. Pressure recalibrated. Combat circle stabilized. Earth's observers noted the updated telemetry. Deccan's vitals held. Respiration even. Heart rhythm steady. No adrenaline markers present. Inside the Dominion chamber, a last briefing prompt flashed. This is a terminal bout. One will walk out, the other will not. Skarn tightened his grip. The final gate release alarm sounded. Countdown, 10 seconds. T9 Glave's recording sequence began. 3 beams triangulated around Varn's head and chest, locking every movement to combat logs. Dominion systems did the same for Skarn. The arena's internal system printed movement vectors in silent background patterns, to be reviewed later by both sides for violation review. Neither side expected any. 3, 2, 1. The gates dropped. Both sides stepped forward at once. Varn walked. Skarn stomped. Silence spread across the arena. No clash, no call-out, just motion. Controlled, centered. Skarn grinned as his boots slammed into the combat ring. You should have chosen a blade, or at least a shield. Varn didn't answer. The arena sensors confirmed contact zone synchronization. All systems locked in. No technical faults. Live feeds stable. Betline hold confirmed. A Cravath observer leaned forward in the control wing. It's begun. Inside the arena, Skarn raised the sledge high and took his first step toward the silent man who hadn't blinked since he entered. Strike angle confirmed, first contact imminent, record every ligament collapse. Marshal Dren Korvix didn't blink. He stood behind the operator deck as T9 Glaive began real-time annotation. Earth's command center fell silent, every head locked on the heads-up combat display. No one breathed. The system had already marked the time. 00:00, arena activation. Subject A, Skarn Vortul. Subject B, Varn Dekken. Doran opened with a forward rush, no feints, no buildup. He closed the gap in less than 2 seconds. Vibro sledge came down at a 42-degree angle. Torque spun from the hip, traveling with 15 kilonewtons of downward force, enough to rupture reinforced armor. 00:02, weapon displacement triggered. Varn's feet shifted. Not wide, not fast. They didn't need to be. He used the ground pressure rebound to pivot left, dropping inside the arc before the sledge completed its motion. His right hand touched the handle, mid-swing. Not to stop it, but to accelerate the turn away from his body. The impact missed by a quarter meter. 00:03. Pressure void step. Skarn staggered forward. He'd expected impact, his forward balance collapsed. He reset, tried to counter-kick. But Takam was already behind him. No time lost. No follow-through needed. 00:04, left thumb knuckle strike. Dekken's left hand slammed into a point behind Skarn's right shoulder. Specifically, the subscapular nerve cluster beneath the outer ridge of the armor plate. The strike didn't break armor. It didn't need to. The compressed force passed through synthetic padding into the junction beneath. Neural signal disruption confirmed. Dominion telemetry registers arm lock. Skarn's right arm stopped responding. 00:05, spinal torque initiated. Skarn rotated left, dropped to a crouch, and launched his elbow into Skarn's rear knee. Target. Base of the fibular anchor. The joint inverted on contact. No warning, no flex. The snap rang out across the arena. Dominion spectators gasped. On the heads-up displays, red lines mapped the angle, showing the brake path from patella hinge to ankle lock. Skarn grunted, pivoted back, dropped the sledge. His balance failed. He went down one knee, trying to roll backward. Dekken didn't let him. 00:07, spinal anchor compromise. Skarn stepped up, drove both palms into Skarn's lower back. One centered above the L3 vertebrae, the other angled at the side of the pelvic joint. Pressure delivered through 2-point compression. Internal diagnostics failed on Dominion systems. Spinal regulator seized. Glaive marked, cord disconnect, lower body. Skarn froze mid-magmate, body limp, from the waist down. 00:08, grip recovery attempt. Skarn twisted, trying to launch a punch from his remaining arm. Varn ducked inside the motion, arm locked under shoulder, rotated the joint. Full extension, cartilage separation achieved. Shoulder failure confirmed, arm disabled. 00:09, neck stabilizer strike. Final movement. Varn stepped forward, placed both hands along the side of Skarn's helmet, twisted once. Slow, deliberate, no kill, just system overload. The helmet dropped power. Audio loop failed. Combat feed. Dominion POV blackout. 0 o'clock and 10 seconds fall registered. Skarn collapsed face first. No twitch. No motion. Arena timestamp. 10.93 seconds. Jorvac Trell's live commentary choked mid-sentence. Dominion feeds stalled. Betline tracking froze. The only sound left was Glave's internal logging. Earth's command deck didn't move. Lesh whispered, "Was that it?" Korvik didn't respond. He was already logging the session as complete. 00 owl clock and 12 seconds, final. Marker placed. Barn didn't celebrate. He turned, walked to the center of the arena, reached into the side of his waistband, pulled out a triangular shard with the Earth crest etched into it. He dropped it onto the ground. The sound echoed. Heads-up telemetry blinked once. Terran's symbol. Planted, claim declared. On the Kraveth side, medics sprinted forward but halted at the perimeter field. They weren't prepared. No one was. Skarn wasn't dead, but nothing moved below his shoulders. Back in the arena's upper deck, Counselor Laskor stood frozen. "Was never fighting us," he said quietly. He was proving something. Inside Earth's uplink center, Lesh sat down. He ended that fight like he was solving an equation. Korvix nodded. That wasn't a duel, that was a correction. The screen zoomed out. Varn was already walking toward the exit tunnel. Glave's final log entry tagged his retreat path. No celebration. No pause. Just silence following 12 seconds of anatomical disassembly. Cut the feed. Pull all Dominion channels. Now. Marshal Dren Korvix delivered the order as calmly as he had issued the initial deployment. The command staff inside Earth's uplink chamber obeyed without hesitation. Each relay station deactivated the outgoing streams. The final image captured was Varn Decken stepping off the dueling floor, leaving the vibro sledge behind, the insignia shard planted where Skarn Vortul had collapsed. The arena was still. Dominion broadcast crews stood motionless. Jorvac Trell sat frozen in front of his display slate. No voiceover. No explanation. No damage control. The crowd behind him hadn't moved for nearly 20 seconds. On the floor, medics surrounded Skarn's body. His vital signs remained stable. Motor functions did not. The Dominion war champion had not spoken. He hadn't blinked. Above them, Earth's shard pulsed once. The object Varn left behind was not ceremonial. It wasn't meant for symbolism. The embedded core inside it activated on contact with arena-grade soil. It transmitted one file, not audio, not video, a single silent message. We accept no thrones. We deny no warnings. Earth will not kneel. The signal repeated twice, then stopped. No threat, no boast, just statement. Inside the diplomatic viewing corridor, Dominion Council members sat in silence. Their heads-up displays, now offline, showed static symbols. None of them issued commentary. Counselor Ren Lasker finally spoke, voice low and mechanical. He disabled Skarn without aid. He walked through reinforced defense posture and left us intact, not out of mercy, but because he didn't consider us worthy of further action. No one responded. 8 officers tried running projections. Their statistical models failed. Combat analysis tools rejected the movement pattern. Several Dominion scientists submitted override requests, none processed. Back in the arena, Varn walked through the inner corridor. No security detail followed, no medics, no ceremony. His stride remained even. A technician in the outer hallway tried to intercept. Varn passed him without eye contact. The man stepped aside. D9 Glaive followed silently, still recording. The drone logged movement, posture, residual strain data. Nothing showed signs of effort. Inside Earth's uplink station, Lesh stared at the final frame displayed on his screen. The shard, the body. The silence. He cleared his throat. That wasn't just a fight, that was psychological surgery. Korvix didn't look away. And the incision was clean. Glave's encrypted relay finished uploading to Earth's strategic archive. The file was locked under top-tier clearance, marked for internal review only. A single code attached. Ash Force. Witness sailed. Across the Kravith broadcast zones, transmission rates dropped by 87%. Social feeds paused, public commentary threads stalled, betting indexes reversed their charts. Unprecedented. One civilian survey broadcast tried to capture public sentiment from the Dominion capital. The broadcast technician clicked on a participant. The screen showed a young Kraith male. He blinked once. No words came. The transmission cut. In the Dominion Analyst Hub, a tech officer reported to the communications overseer. Sector 4 has flagged Earth's filed transmission as a Class 5 diplomatic breach. Why? The overseer asked flatly. No threat included. No negotiation terms. No request for audience. Then what's the violation? It triggered a response we didn't predict. Inside a secured observation deck, the Kravith Emperor's senior tactician reviewed the combat replay. He ran the footage back at half sped, eyes locked on Varn's footwork. No wasted motion, every pivot timed to Skarn's biomechanical flaw points, no guesswork, only execution. He tapped the side of his slate. Find his trainer, I want a name. No records exist, came the reply. No service ID. No academy trail. The man has no history in our logs. Then you're not looking hard enough, the tactician replied. Back on Earth's command relay, Dren tapped into the silent channel previously routed through Glave's control core. One entry remained pending. He opened the file. Inside was a final log marker. Directive: no expansion, no retaliation, hold. Dren activated the lock. The directive would now pass to the Intersectoral Oversight Group. No statement would be issued to the galaxy. No broadcast response. They didn't need one. In the outer corridors of the arena, Varn passed a Kravith sentry stationed at the cargo threshold. The guard instinctively reached for his communicator, then stopped. Decken didn't pause. He exited the arena complex through the lowest utility corridor, boarded the unmarked transport, and sat quietly. G9 Glaive hovered beside him, red light blinking in standby. Korvik's voice came through the pilot feed. Are you functional? Decan didn't answer immediately. Then, what's next? Korvik's paused. Nothing. You've done what was required. Varn leaned back in his seat. Then, I'll sleep. Glaive cut the feed. Data secured. Movement logs archived. In the Kravith Intelligence Center, the last simulation team ran a new model. They attempted to simulate Varn's spinal lock maneuver on 7 species. Results returned no. The AI flagged the maneuver as biomechanically impossible in over 90% of humanoid frames. The report was never published. Atop the Dominion's highest media relay tower, the final public message was issued by Jorvac Trell, though his voice lacked its usual certainty. We have witnessed a deviation from expectation. The Dominion will, as always, review and respond accordingly. His hands trembled as he shut off the feed. Back in the diplomatic layer of Earth's uplink chain, Dren stared at the still frame of Varn's insignia shard buried in the dust. That's not a victory mark, Lesh said quietly. No, Dren agreed. It's a warning the galaxy hasn't translated yet. The arena's lights dimmed. The final transmission from T9 Glaive cut to static, leaving only the echo of Varn Deccan's boot print in the dust. The Earth insignia shard pulsed once more, then went dark. Its message lingered in the silence, etched into the minds of those who witnessed it. We accept no thrones. We deny no warnings. Earth will not kneel. Marshal Dren Korvik stood in the uplink chamber, his hand resting on the console where Glaive's data stream had locked. The room was still, save for the faint hum of cooling systems. No one spoke. The weight of 12 seconds pressed against every surface. Commander Lesh broke the quiet, his voice low. They're pulling their feeds, Dominion's trying to bury the broadcast. Korvix didn't turn. Let them try. They're calling it a glitch. A fluke. Some are saying Varn cheated. Korvix's eyes stayed on the frozen frame of the shard. They can rewrite their story. They can't rewrite the fracture in Skarn's spine. Lesh stepped closer, glancing at the telemetry logs still cycling on a secondary display. Varn's vitals, unchanged. Heart rate steady, no adrenaline spike. He didn't just win, he rewrote what winning means. Korvix nodded once. That's why they're afraid. In the Kreveth Dominion's war gallery, Counselor Ren Laskor sat alone, the chamber's crest 3 stars gripped in a clawed hand, looming behind him. The replay of Varn's fight looped on his private slate, slowed to dissect every motion. The pivot at 0:00 and 2 seconds. The nerve strike at 0:00 and 4 seconds. The spinal collapse at 0:00 and 7 seconds. Each frame was a question no Dominion analyst could answer. He didn't fight. Laskor muttered, his voice barely audible. He corrected. A tactician entered, datapad in hand. High Seat demands a response. They want Earth's terms for Nyrex. Laskor's gaze didn't leave the screen. Earth didn't claim Nyrex. They claimed us. The tactician hesitated. Sir? Ellie left the shard, not to mark territory, to mark time. A reminder, we'll carry it forward. Across the Dominion's capital, public feeds flickered. Civilian channels replayed Jorvak Trell's last broadcast, his voice faltering as he described Varn's exit. A deviation from expectation. The words hung, incomplete, as if the air itself refused to carry them further. Betting indexes collapsed. Dominion citizens stared at their screens, some chanting Skarn's name, others silent, their war crests unpainted, their confidence unraveling. A young Kreveth analyst, stationed at an outer relay, typed a message that spread across local networks. He walked away. Not from victory. From us. In Earth's command station, Dren opened the sealed archive where Varn's file rested. The black glass insignia with 3 horizontal bars flickered on the display. No new data had been added. None was needed. The file's existence was enough. A shadow cast across every strategic projection. Lesh leaned against the console. They're asking if we'll wake him again. Korvix's hand paused over the cryovault controls. Only if they forget what 12 seconds cost. Valley won't forget, Lesh said. Not after that. He might, Korvix replied. Fear fades, arrogance returns. He tapped the console, pulling up the final log from Glaive. The footage showed Varn stepping into the unmarked transport, his silhouette framed against the Nyrex belt's glow. No glance back. No gesture. Just the shard, embedded in the arena's core, its signal looping in silence. The signal wasn't for us, Dren thought. It was for them. In the Dominion's intelligence hub, a senior analyst ran Varn's maneuver through a new simulation. The system flagged it as unreproducible. The spinal lock, the nerve strike, the pivot, all defied biomechanical models. The AI appended a single note. Subject operates outside predictive frameworks. Recommend reclassification, non-humanoid threat. The report was sealed. No one dared send it upward. Jorvak Trell stood on the media tower's edge, staring at the arena below. The vibro sledge lay abandoned where Skarn had dropped it. Its kinetic core had gone silent, its edge dulled by the absence of purpose. Trell's hands gripped the railing, his voice reduced to a whisper. We challenged a myth. And it answered. Back in Earth's orbital tier, the cryovault hummed softly. Varndecken lay inside, eyes closed, arms crossed, frost reforming over his unmarked frame. The chamber's display blinked once. Contingency clause active. Awaiting directive. Korvix stood before it, alone. He didn't touch the controls. He didn't need to. The galaxy had seen what Earth could do, what one man, woken from ice, could carve into their collective memory. Lesh's voice came through the comm. The Galactic Concord wants a statement. They're revising dual protocols. They're calling it the Deccan Clause. Corvix didn't smile. They can name it what they want. It won't change what they saw. Then what did they see? Lesh asked. Corvix turned, his gaze steady. That Earth doesn't fight to win. We fight to remind. The vault sealed shut. The command room dimmed. Outside, the Nyrax belt hung silent, its resources untouched, its shadow a testament to restraint. Earth's message wasn't in conquest or expansion. It was in the man who walked away, leaving a shard in the dust and a question no one could answer. In the Dominion's council chambers, Lascor played the footage one last time. Varn's final step, the shard's pulse, Skarn's collapse. He leaned back, his voice barely a breath. We thought we were the story. He closed the slate. We were just the warning.